Every serious incident on the road requires forensic examination.
We've got to start asking the question, why is this happening?
Pedestrians been struck in the coned-off area of this dual carriageway. The car has failed to stop.
And inside the cordons, dedicated officers take on this challenge.
Clearly, I don't think this came out of the factory sounding like that. This person's lost their life for whatever reason. We're trying to establish why.
And only now can I realise that that is actually in the middle of my lane.
Tracking down the evidence.
This is really important, this is key.
To get to the truth.
Once we've got somebody, that's going to put him in the driver's seat.
There's a death on the road, so we've got to be investigated properly and thoroughly.
This is a proper head-scratcher, this is.
All in a day's work for the crash detectives.
Police emergency.
It's a road traffic accident. 2 cars involved. One guy looks as if he's seriously injured. He came out of the car and he's, I think he may be dead.
Okay,
Right, just give us a bit of space.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I want.
put this mask on you a minute, fella, all right?
Are you a witness, sir?
I was in the car.
You were in this car?
I was in the car.
You were in this car?
Yeah, I was in the passenger. Where's the driver?
I don't know the driver is. I don't have a clue. But I was in the passenger. I don't have a clue. I don't know who you were driving.
That lady there says somebody in a puffer jacket did run that direction, which would tend to suggest she's the driver.
As questions are mounting over the whereabouts of the driver, critical care doctors are now on scene.
There's one in there.
2 of them, yeah?
Yeah. He's been ejected on impact.
A 22-year-old man and a 21-year-old woman have been seriously injured. As they're taken to hospital, investigative work at the scene of this crash can now begin.
Initially, it would appear that the Citroen has been travelling this direction towards Newport, and the other vehicle, the Polo, has been travelling in the opposite direction.
They're now looking for evidence of how the 2 cars have collided.
I was expecting damage for like front corner to corner, but there isn't. It's just avoided the front of it and has actually struck it just in line with the A-pillar.
So it must have been slightly sideways to be able to do that.
While this damage can be explained by the impact with the Citroen, it's proving more difficult to understand what's happened to the other side of the car.
I don't know, if fire brigade done that?
We had one passenger who was ejected, who's landed here, and the other rear seat passenger still inside, so I don't think fire would have needed to do anything.
No. This is a proper head-scratcher, this is.
The man thought to be at the wheel of the Polo has fled the scene, while the driver of the Citroen C3 has minor injuries, despite this impact.
The drive shaft's there. It's pulled the drive shaft out of that wheel.
Yeah.
That connects the gearbox to the wheels. That bit there was connected to that.
To cause damage like this requires huge force.
Is it in gear or is it neutral?
It's in neutral, handbrake's on. There's no airbag deployment, so it's either been stationary or very,
very slow.
Slow moving.
And I think if he's hit it, hang on, there you go. Look towards me. See that? See that? Hang on. Stop. Stand by. Stand by. Stand by.
Yep. Oh, I can see it. Yep. Yeah.
It would appear to be a loaded tyre mark. That's it.
That's just popped out of nowhere, hasn't it?
I know, it's mad, isn't it? It's the temperature's changing, probably.
So this will be the front offside tyre, and as he's come through here, that's the wheel that's been loaded, and it's made this mark.
It basically starts to show where the vehicle is starting to lose control.
This means they can now start to track the path of the VW Polo further into the scene.
Give it another 12, maybe 9, 12 inches, and that stops, doosh, give or take. I reckon about there.
Yeah.
So I reckon that's probably point of contact.
But then that leads... Have we got anything on the curb?
That's what I'm thinking. Well, that's where he's mounted the curb, isn't it?
Yeah. He must have had a good amount of momentum still to carry him through to there. If you look at the mark off up this way, that black stripe at the edge of the yellow markers, that's the tyre. And a little bit further on, it turns into a gouge on the pavement. The tyre's probably burst at that point. It's sitting on the rim, so it's only the rim that's pushing it down into the ground, so that's why we've got that nice thin mark. Just where this gouge mark gets close to the wall, you can see white paint transferred over, and you can see bits of the rear light cluster where he's just sideswiped this wall. So at this point, the car is sort of more and more sideways as it moves towards that lamppost.
Now, I think this is lamppost. I think he's just glanced it. But because it struck it at the B-pillar, which is where obviously the rear door is mounted, it's basically just ripped the door open.
That door's caught on here.
Yeah.
Pushed it back, so it'll come round here.
Yeah, it's pirouetted round. It's been airborne. The point at which the front then has then hit the floor is here. And then it's just dragged the alloy to there. No, we haven't necessarily got an idea of speed yet, but when you consider just how much it's moved the lamppost, it would appear to be fairly high. As it's flung round, and the pivot will have just ejected the passenger. Because I'm guessing, yeah, they didn't have the belt on.
While the man lay seriously injured on the road, the driver chose to run away. And at the scene of the crash, witnesses told police that they'd seen him making his escape.
We're quite happy the driver has gone that way. The witnesses in the car behind.
He said that he's got out of the car and run down towards the curb.
Sarge? I think this is CCTV.
Yeah.
So I think that is the potential suspect.
Did you get the description from the CCTV? It looks like black shoes, light blue body to a jacket with a navy blue arms.
Thank you. Yeah, we think it was 4 people in the car. Obviously, the driver's run off, gone down, we think, into Ringland. We've captured him on CCTV a couple of times.
Yeah.
Then a black Audi has picked him up. From that footage, we've then been able to compare that to vehicles we've got on our database. Excuse me a second. Go ahead, Rob.
Possibly found it.
Yeah, I'll come back with shortly. Possibly found.
Is that the Audi?
The Audi. Can you do a check on that to see who it comes back to, and then do associate checks for that person to see if any of the people who are in the car are associates of those individuals, yeah.
As inquiries gain pace, so does analysis of the evidence at the scene.
It shows our vehicle is on the incorrect side of the road for the direction he was travelling. Starting to suggest that our VW driver is the one that's at fault in this collision.
And while they don't have the suspected driver, what they do have is the car. It's now been recovered from the scene to a secure compound.
There's obviously a question over who the driver was. So what we need is forensic evidence, DNA, fingerprints, that sort of thing. Once we've got somebody, this is what's going to say that was the person in the car driving at the time of the collision. That's going to put him in the driver's seat.
But there's more in this car that could link the driver to the collision.
Car, the map.
But they'll need to move fast.
There's obviously sections of glass.
Yeah.
So if we do identify a suspect, if we can identify what clothing they were wearing, along with their trainers, because potentially there could be, there's fragments of glass everywhere, so there could be a section or a fragment of that glass that's embedded within their footwear or within their trainer that they might not know about. So their footwear is
now you've
quite
mentioned
important.
that, because I know they're actively looking for him now, aren't they?
Hey, Matt.
Hey, Sarge, all right? You free to speak a minute?
Yeah, go on, mate.
It's likely to be beneficial from the inquiry to seize the clothing and his footwear for comparisons to glass, because there is glass samples on the seat and in the footwell.
Yes, that's fair comment, mate. Nice one.
Yeah, no problem.
And the forensic opportunities don't end there.
There's obviously clearly airbags that has been deployed. So there's a good chance that the suspect has contacted one of these airbags here, and they could have potentially DNA or saliva on it.
Because it's one thing being in a car, there's another thing being in during a collision when the airbags are deployed.
Exactly.
At the same time the airbags were fired, another safety feature was also activated.
This seatbelt has been pulled tight there. The car's sensed the collision. So that's good evidence that that seatbelt wasn't worn at the time of the collision.
But it's a different story for those travelling in the front.
There you go.
Oh, nice.
See the abrasion there? It's a very indicative mark. The seatbelt at the time of impact was being worn. Look at that.
Oh, wow.
It's like a 2-stage.
Got a lovely one on there as well.
Yeah.
And this could also link the driver to the crash.
Well, bruising can go on for weeks, especially this type of dramatic bruising.
Sometimes the longer it's left, the more it sort of develops.
Yeah.
So I think once you do identify a suspect, we should be looking at, definitely having a look at his body to see if it's consistent with your findings with the seatbelt.
Yeah. Because it's definitely been worn.
Yeah.
At the point at which that pyrotechnics, that pretension is fired, it's definitely been on.
Yeah.
But for any of these to be of use, there's now an urgency to find the man who was at the wheel.
We're not just looking necessarily for footage from after the incident. We also want to know what he's been doing earlier in the day.
And in the hours before the collision, the car has been traced back to a pub. The white VW Polo can be seen on CCTV.
That would have been one of the last pieces of footage of that car prior to the collision.
But it wasn't just the car that was recorded on camera. Captured just half an hour before leaving, the occupants can be seen enjoying a drink. But one of the men stood out.
You can see a male in the same dark blue and light blue puffer jacket. Response officers looked at that footage
and realised they'd dealt with him before.
From the CCTV footage in the pub, they particularly remembered a hand tattoo that he has and a chunky silver bracelet that he normally wears.
They now knew exactly who they were looking for.
This is a man who appears to have run from the scene, leaving the people who presumably he knew with very, very serious injuries.
But questions still remain about the part he had to play in this collision.
Because the airbags have been deployed, because the seatbelt pretensioners have been activated, we know that probably that car's stored some data about what happened in the 5 seconds leading up to that collision.
So they've used a specialist system to access the electronics of the Polo.
And that looks really good.
It's now produced a snapshot of information, listed in half-second intervals.
So we can see from this, the accelerator pedal going from 20%, 24, 64 and 100%, that's flat to the floor at that point. It's data that links directly to what the person is doing to the controls of the car, and it tells us exactly what their manner of driving was prior to the collision. He's doing 68 miles per hour there.
The speed limit is 30 miles an hour.
He's also putting left-hand steering input in. So he's almost at 90 degrees, isn't it? 88 degrees. So he's kind of at this point with the accelerator planted as hard as it'll go, and the car is still accelerating. And this is what, 4 seconds prior to impact?
Yeah.
So it goes from that point, roughly,
yep,
to back to 0.
That's quite a harsh.
But still accelerating 3.5 seconds beforehand, and then back, and then
round to the right.
Round to the right by almost the same amount. He's gone on from there to there in a second, but it's still accelerating at 100%.
And then another half a second, he's back to leftward steering.
So he's back to here, roughly, maybe at that sort of angle. By reading the data, you can almost see the panic in the driver trying to gain control back again, and clearly failed.
With 2 of his passengers now paying the price of this erratic driving, he has some serious questions to answer. But despite efforts to track him down, he continued to evade police.
WO calling Foxtrot Echo 3-1.
Until they finally had a breakthrough.
Foxtrot Echo 3-1.
Are you able to assist local units, please, in Newport for assistance gain entry?
They've had a tip-off that the man they're searching for is hiding at a top-floor flat in the city centre.
There's quite a few officers out there at the moment. They're looking for a Jamie Chalice.
Oscar Delta 2, could you?
Go ahead.
Got Jamie Chalice in custody. Nice one, well done.
Jamie, are you responsible for driving a motor vehicle when he was involved in a crash on Christchurch Road?
I think at this point I'll read out the prepared statement on behalf of Jamie.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, for the purposes of the tape. I, Jamie Charles, will say as follows. I deny.
The 24-year-old man admits he was travelling in the car at the time of the crash and that he ran away from the scene. But he's denying that he was the driver.
Explain to me, as best you can, how the collision between the VW Polo that you were travelling in and the Citroen C3, how did it happen?
No crime.
So if he's adding no detail, they'll need to rely on other ways to piece together exactly how this collision unfolded. On the evening of the crash, the team used a laser scanner to capture an accurate record of the scene.
So we've got this scale plan view of the scene from above, essentially. So this is the plan without anything on it. So the direction of travel is this.
And it's now been combined with the electronic evidence taken from the VW Polo.
This is the Citroen here. The lamppost is here, and this is the Polo at its point of rest. So that data's allowed me to essentially plot all of the actions taken by the driver on a map. This particular section of road is 30 miles an hour, and you can see 68, 67, 70 miles an hour at this point.
This top speed of 70 miles per hour was recorded just 2 seconds before the Polo hit the Citroen. And its driver is now a key witness.
We have a statement. He says, I first noticed the VW Polo on the apex of the bend. The vehicle appeared to be travelling at high speed. It's difficult to actually document an exact speed from what I saw. I was very frightened for my own safety. I was in the path of the VW Polo, which appeared to be flying towards me. I didn't really have anywhere to go, so I stopped my vehicle and tucked in as far as possible to the side to try and keep myself safe.
He's steering really sharply, so 72 degrees to the left, so that's probably about that sort of position. This fits with the position of this loaded tyre mark just prior to impact with the Citroen that we saw at the scene.
The VW Polo then hit my vehicle, which was stationary at this point.
All the way through this, the accelerator's pinned to the floor. This is the point where he decides, okay, I'm going to take my foot off the accelerator. So within the same half a second is when he decides to put the brake on, which is the point of impact with the Citroen. He's now travelling back to the near side of the road. And at this point, the data shows us that he's put in a sudden right steering event. 106 degrees, which is quite a large rightward steering input. And at this point, he's still travelling at 43 miles an hour. The back of the car is sort of swinging around until he makes contact with that lamppost. As the car then swung around into its final position, allowed the unseat-belted rear seat passengers to be thrown around and to actually come out of the car.
The electronic data is consistent with the evidence found at the scene. But it's also allowed Kath to track the road positioning of the Polo in the lead-up to the crash.
So this red line here is where that car would have been as it's come through that collision sequence.
But where the data recording ends, the witness accounts continue.
The driver emerged a couple of seconds after the car had come to a stop. I saw him get out of the driver's door of the VW Polo. I recall him walking around the car and looking at the male passenger who had fallen out of the vehicle. He didn't appear to check on him. He looked at him very briefly, and then I heard him say, "I gotta go." Did you say that and then run off?
No comment.
Still sticking with his version of events and denying being at the wheel.
We still need to, by some method or other, put him in the driver's seat if that's where he was. The very last forensic opportunity available to us was DNA.
With the driver's curtain airbag only deploying at the time of the crash, it's now crucial to this investigation.
That's really significant. It's very unlikely that any other person would have touched that airbag at the point of the collision. So what we needed to do is compare the DNA on the airbag to the DNA of the person that we believe to be the driver.
But as they waited for the results, it emerged that this wasn't the only serious offence that he was wanted for.
He was suspected to be linked to a number of other offences, particularly an aggravated burglary along with a number of other people. They had been wearing balaclavas when they'd broken into a house, they'd threatened the occupants with knives and they'd demanded money.
But the gang was captured on CCTV.
Footage showed one of the burglars taking off his balaclava and discarding it at the side of the road. That was then seized and tested for DNA.
There were now 2 pieces of evidence with the potential to link him to crimes.
That comparison was done. Both of those matched back to our driver.
Now clearly at the wheel at the time of the crash, there was no running away from the reality of his actions.
The manner of driving that we can see, not only from the collision, but the data that we've got, describes a person who has been absolutely reckless towards the safety of the people in the car, the people who might have been sharing the road with him.
The man he left lying on the road after being thrown from the car went on to make a recovery. But the woman was left with life-changing injuries.
Given the speeds, given the harshness of acceleration, the harshness of steering, I'm not surprised that he wasn't able to maintain control through that section of road.
The driver admitted causing serious injury by dangerous driving, as well as aggravated burglary. He also pleaded guilty to driving whilst disqualified, dangerous driving, and possession of drugs with intent to supply. He was jailed for almost 20 years.
It was science that's allowed us to bring this offender to justice and taken a dangerous offender off the streets.